And if you see somebody who's struggling, do the noble thing, step up to the plate, help somebody out, open a door, pick somebody up, do something. Be a good person because that's the only way we're going to truly be able to resolve all of our issues, all of our differences. When they literally have to change the definitions of vaccine in order to put it into this bubble, you know that you're dealing with something entirely different, and you should be questioning the science because science is never settled. That is the most ridiculous thing that could have ever come out of that little demon's mouth is trust the science is settled.
Natalie, welcome to the World XP podcast. How are you today?
I am amazing today. I woke up on the right side of the earth. I have no complaints.
Oh, well, that's a good start to the day. The weather's getting a little bit chillier over here. It's starting to feel like fall. Times are changing. It's all good things over here. Why don't you do a quick elevator pitch kind of intro, who you are and what you do? There's lots of stuff that we'll be talking about today that I'm super interested in. I think for those of you listening, is this one more than some of the others? I think will have a direct or could have a direct impact on y'all's daily lives. Anyways, the floor is yours. Take it away. Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, sure. So I am a product creator, a product developer. I got into this because I saw so much damage being done in the food space, and I wanted to find a way that I could impact people in a positive way by replacing harmful substances that are common commodities that we all use on a regular basis. So I went to work in the kitchen and put together what is proving out to be probably the most exciting sweetener that's coming to market now. So we have the world's first botanical functional sweetener, and everything about its design was actually designed to improve health, not cause harm to your health.
Well, that is for those I already knew that, of course, because we talked before, but for those listening, like this is I can't like impress upon the importance of this and the amount of nonsense that's in all of our food currently. So the development is, to me at least, is huge. The question from the last guest, I think probably the answer will have written itself, but is what is your purpose in life?
My purpose, and it's something that was greatly instilled in me from a young age with my grandmother, was to always leave things better than you found it. It didn't matter what the context was. It was you could not leave something in the same state. You always had to work to improve it. So my mission is to help people improve their health. That is my primary focus is health, because health was such a major impacting situation for me and my family because of a devastating health consequence. So I've made it my life mission after losing somebody very near and dear to me to help people take control of their own health, be their own health advocate, and have an education behind why we should make some different choices in our life.
Is that tragedy, was that the kind of spark to start Dulsa, or were you already kind of thinking about doing something like that prior? I guess I'll start maybe a couple steps back and
Sure.
what got you into kind of the nutrition side of the industry? Because it's very difficult to kind of wade your way through it. Like for the regular person, like I use this example all the time. I went to go buy some like chips at the store and I read, I don't know, 15 ingredients labels and I was like, none of these are just like corn, salt and like water and flour or whatever. And I'm just so like what made you get into it? Because it's a very kind of complex and convoluted field to get into. What was the spark for that?
Yeah, the spark was my aunt. I was raised by both my grandmother and my aunt growing up, and my aunt was diagnosed with primary progressive multiple sclerosis. And what I learned very early in life is that our medical system does not offer any real solutions. They have things to suppress, they have things to mask, they have things to hide, but they don't have things that remedy. They don't have cures. They don't have answers, and they certainly didn't give us any hope. What I was left with, and more so my aunt was left with, was that this diagnosis was going to lead her to lose all of her faculties. I mean, my aunt was very active in the community. She was very involved in the church, very involved in the community. She was involved in outreach, and she was a dancer, a martial artist. She was just a beautiful soul. And really, they just told her this disease is going to strip your ability to do all of that away. You won't be able to work. You won't be able to care for yourself. And we can try some experimental treatments. We can give you these drugs. They have horrible side effects, and we really might not get any, additional benefit by giving them to you, but let's try this anyways. And that answer wasn't good enough for my aunt, and she didn't believe in it. And the first problem was they had no hope, and they didn't have any faith, and they didn't believe that anything else was better or even capable of happening. So she decided to look for alternative practitioners. She got a nutritionist. She really started looking at alternative treatments. And as a young child, I decided that I was going to walk that walk with her. So, very aware as a child that we have to look for other options when people don't give you a satisfactory solution. So, I just walked that walk with her, and I started looking at food. I was like, well, food is definitely something that nourishes your body. And so let's remove things that are harmful or could cause damage. And we just cleaned up her diet. We looked at nutrition, so supplementation, orthomolecular medicine, and then we started getting into the alternatives. And I mean, I can remember as a child, I was injecting bee venom into my aunt's back. I mean, I'm talking like 8 years old. Here I am with a needle sticking my aunt's back because nobody else in the family had, the capacity to think outside of that box. And they were just willing to just throw their hands up and give up. So ever since I was a child, I've been looking for solutions. Like I'm not a quitter. I want to solve problems, and I just think there's always a way to find an answer to a problem.
Were you guys able to find some level of success with those?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I would say my aunt probably should have been bedridden 10 years prior to the time that she was. I mean, her MS was very aggressive, and we saw such a significant change in her when she got to the point where she actually did need to be put into a nursing home. I was working construction at the time. I was working, between 40 and 60 hours a week, and I had my, 80-year-old grandmother I'm taking care of also. I got to a point where I could no longer have her at home, and we actually had to put her into a nursing care facility. And once that happened, it was such a rapid degradation in her condition because they stripped away all of the supplementation. They stripped away everything that she was eating. It was this sugar-filled, carb-laden, crappy microwave food that they give to people in these facilities. No more nutritional supplementation and just heavy prescription drugs. And there was such a decline in her condition from there. So, yeah, I would say we got another good 10 years where she got to actually have an improvement or at least better quality of life.
I mean, 10 years, that's remarkable.
Yeah.
I don't, I had these two people on recently who had, it's not exactly the same, but for me, the parallels are close enough. And she was diagnosed, this Heidi case who was on episode 233 or 232. She was misdiagnosed with bipolar disorder and was
Yeah.
on these psychiatric meds for like almost 20 years. And it's like, she had a reaction to something when she was in rehab. They took her off the meds and all of a sudden it cleared up. And it's like,
Yeah.
I've heard too many of these stories recently, and it's um honestly like infuriating that
Yeah.
this is just the spot that we're in, and it takes people like yourself and others to kind of to like blaze that path to find the alternatives, because otherwise we'll just be stuck in this like and kind of where I'm going with that a little bit is like I can't imagine the like what you were feeling when you send her into the nursing home and then immediately just
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was devastating because, again, like I said, I was doing everything in my power to keep both my grandmother and my aunt at home with me. But again, over the years, she got to a point where, again, I needed more support in that. And without the support of the family, without, extra financial resources that I could actually have a caretaker in the home and make it possible for me to keep her there, that was the only other option. And I tell you, it was such a rapid decline. I mean, it was a night and day difference. So, I know that what we were doing was good for her. I know, positive mindset is such a massive indicator of things. But again, your food, your nutrition, your surroundings, the beliefs around the people that you're surrounded with, all of these things impact us in such a huge way. So yeah, I want to show people that there are alternatives in everything. It doesn't matter what we're discussing, in any train of thought, whether it's our nutrition, whether it's the way that we conduct ourselves in society. Like, there's always a better way that we can do things. So let's always strive to, optimize in all aspects of life.
Yeah. Um, so what I don't even know where to go with this.
Mhm.
Where did you start the idea to then well, actually, let me ask this one last question, not to dwell on this, but
Yeah.
were you able when she went into the nursing home to be like, hey, these are the things that we're doing and they're working, please continue them?
Yeah, so I did try that,
Oh, that makes it even
yeah,
worse.
yeah. So I mean, if you have never had to deal with nursing homes or care facilities or medical treatment groups, really, it's their way or the highway. I mean, and it's not something where I could just give her a dose of something and she would be fine. I mean, literally, it was everything from the foods that she was eating to I couldn't leave vitamins and supplementation for her because it wasn't a part of their recommended protocol, her doctor's orders. And I mean, like, I would bring to them studies on, off-label drugs that had real promise, different type of dietary applications, the Walls diet. Terry Walls is an amazing woman who resolved her primary progressive multiple sclerosis. She was wheelchair bound. She walks, she bikes, she runs, she does all of these amazing things now. I couldn't even get them to look at stuff like that. So unfortunately, our medical system, these institutions are so regimented that in order to get them to actually make a change like that, it's such an uphill battle. Families are truly lost in this mix. So yeah, we really just had to watch this damage unfold.
For oh, part of it, I don't even blame the doctors because there's so many regulatory and like legal things that they've got to deal with that like to make a change or go outside the like air quotes approved
Yeah,
protocol. Like there's so much that goes into that. And it often for them it's like the headache, they could end up losing a license if it doesn't
yeah,
work or like all these things. And like so I don't even really blame the doctors for to some extent, but at the same time it's like where's the Oh, I don't want to go on a rant. It's like,
yeah.
where's the backbone? Like, I don't understand.
Eh,
It's like, okay, you've got a
yeah,
protocol. It's clearly not working.
yeah.
Maybe do something different.
Yeah,
Anything
that's the
else?
thing. It's the lack of openness. I mean, because again, like you said, you did touch on something. They literally face losing their licenses. They can't even talk about certain subject matter without risk losing their licenses. And I know this
Hmm.
because I'm surrounded by so many amazing trailblazing doctors who were a part of the dirty dozen, the ones that were shunned from society when the whole COVID pandemic happened. I've seen how people lose their licenses, how they lose their voice. But again, like those brave souls that stand up and say, enough is enough. I cannot go along with this. At what point in time do our medical professionals say our medical system is broken and it's causing harm? And our oath is to do no harm. So at what point do they say, we need to look at this broken system? Because if we were winning this fight with health and sickness and all this stuff, we wouldn't have more hospitals springing up on every single corner. We have a cancer center on every single corner, it seems. You have an emergency service, you have a hospital right next to it. It's like our landscape is littered with hospitals and specialists and you know so that doesn't mean we're doing well when it comes to health. Our sick care is growing, which they call healthcare. Our healthcare system is a behemoth, but it's sick care, it's managed sick care. Not a single thing that they're doing is focused on healing, finding the root cause of the problem, addressing those issues, helping people make adjustments in lifestyles so that they can, again, optimize their health. So, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really dirty, broken system, but don't lose hope or faith because, again, you have doctors that are standing up. You have people that are creating new medical systems that are outside of that broken system. So, while we do still have a battle ahead of us, it's not hopeless. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mark Cuban's created his own kind of like drug distribution company, I guess you could call it, to bring prices down for people. We've got people like Brigham Bueller, and that was one of the things I was going to bring up. There's a clip of him on Rogan from, I don't know, maybe 6 months or a year ago or something, where he he tells a story of like this lady that comes in to get some sort of supplement or something from him, and once she discloses that she has insurance, he legally cannot tell her that he can sell it to her for like $2 instead of like the 12 that would have been with
yeah,
insurance. And it's like you hear stories like that, and it's just, but like there's people like him doing stuff, like I mentioned, Cuban. There's other people like yourself, and I think there's a big. Well, we see this with the administration, right? RFK
yeah.
Jr. as the new health secretary. I think COVID woke a lot of people up to some of the nonsense that's going on. There's been like trust in these institutions has been eroded, and I tell people that say like, well, they're still the experts and you need to trust them. It's like, but they did it to themselves. Like it was the behavior, even if they were correct that maybe ivermectin didn't work at all. The way they went about trying to tell everyone that it didn't work, like leaves a sour taste in people's mouths. So even if they were right, like you don't go about it that way. It doesn't like
Right.
and people can pick up on that and be like, "Hey, that doesn't seem right. Like, why are you
Well,
calling it horse dewormer? Like that doesn't
right.
make any
Well,
sense."
yeah. And when you have to silence everyone's voice, this totalitarian, like how did we get to a point in life where we can't discuss options? You have to subscribe to this one track, and that's it. But again, we know that medicine, nutrition, it's not a one size fits all. And we are all very unique, special individuals. And my body is going to respond very differently to a treatment than yours is going to respond. And for them to say there is nothing else on the table, but when you really dig into it and you see, the patents and the connections and the ownership of these so-called vaccines that are not vaccines because they're gene altering drugs. This is gene therapy.
Yeah, the
None of these are
mRNA
vaccines.
ones.
When
Yeah.
when they when they literally have to change the definitions of vaccine in order to put it into this bubble, you know that you're dealing with something entirely different, and you should be questioning the science because science is never settled. That is the most ridiculous thing that could have ever come out of that little demon's mouth is trust the science is settled. That is the absolute opposite of science. Science is never settled. We are always discovering new things, and that is the beauty of science. It's a discovery process.
Yeah, always. And you see this in every aspect of science, whether it's like Tesla and the electric cars or SpaceX and launching rockets into space and catching them on toothpicks that come by, or or sports science, right? Like strength and conditioning or
Yeah,
whatever, like math, all these things. Like it's never there's always a new thing that's being discovered, always a new thing that's like, oh, actually maybe that's not kind of fully true and we added this other part or we discovered this fish in the bottom of the
yeah,
Marianas Trench or whatever. Like or another one that's, oh, humans only go back to 15,000 years, and then how many times has that been pushed back? Like, that's maybe more archaeology than science, but the point still
yeah.
stands. Like, and
It's never settled.
no, never, never. There's always going to be new things that are coming out as technology improves, and then we can observe new things that we couldn't observe before with the technology of that time period. Um, all right. Let's go on to your business and avoid the rants from the well, I because I think we'll both push each other down to a like a yeah, I can't believe anyways. So, okay, so then what was the idea to start the business then? Because like you said, I feel very similarly to you on a lot of these things. I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people kind of have an inkling that what's in their food is not the best, and
Yeah,
then they either don't know what to do about it or they know enough to maybe, okay, I'm going to shop on the outside of the grocery store and not
yep,
get the stuff in the middle. But then there's a further step, which is like, I'm going to come up with a new thing. One, not only am I going to use it for myself, but I'm going to make a business off of it. Where did that come from? Because a lot of people have good ideas and like
yeah.
fixes for stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I'll just use it here. Maybe I'll tell my one or two friends or whatever." But then to go the next step and create a business off it, where did that come from?
Yeah, so my husband got me to become an entrepreneur. Like I said, I mentioned to you beforehand, my background is actually in construction. I was a pipe fitter and welder for 15 years, and then I became a business owner and I started competing as a figure competitor. But, when he got me to shed the fear of stepping out of, the comfort of having everything perfectly laid out there for you by working for someone else and taking the reins and going out there and doing the hard thing and dropping all the fear and waging your own path. He's like, we're going to build an empire together. So, just make sure that you're ready for that. So we started off with the wellness center. And when I had my wellness center, um, I was helping people with a lot of different things, but one of the things that they were looking at was trying to get their body composition in check. And so I used to perform non-invasive permanent weight loss services, but I also help people with detox programs for, like infrared saunas and doing meal plans for people. And I always had people coming to me and asking me, well, but when I want a snack or I want a treat, how can I have something like that and not blow it? They're like, I don't want to pay all this money for services and fall off the rail. So how can I get control of this? I was like, let me start making some sweet treats for people that would actually be in alignment with a healthier lifestyle. So I started making things, created a little company, another little sub company, Guiltless Gourmand. I started making like pastry chef inspired treats for people, but I used like absolutely low sugar things that were sweet in nature, but didn't really, cause that glucose spike. And I always use, like a heavy emphasis on protein, low carbohydrate, things of that nature. So I started making these things. So I was really playing in my kitchen with recipes and formulations and things of that nature. And I saw that there was such a high demand for it. I was like, okay, there's something there. But in operating that other business, the wellness center, I couldn't wear both of those hats. So it was something I kind of put on the shelf. So it was like just lingering in the background. And then I picked up bodybuilding. So then I was pursuing that along with the wellness center. And again, to wear those two hats at the same time was a lot for me. So I dropped that one after I hit my goals. And then I revisited this. How can I utilize my love of food? What food symbolizes for people, bringing people together, enjoyment, fun, holidays, good taste, and good memories. So I started playing in the kitchen with this recipe. And, I'm thinking, I'm like, what are the most common health problems that we're facing right now? Everybody is dealing with issues of they don't have energy. Okay, so their mitochondria is all messed up. They're dealing with gut health issues. So I was like, if I'm going to create something, let's get these little things checked off the list. So let's work on their energy. Let's work on the gut health. Let's work on, that satisfying flavor that everybody's going to love. Let's make sure that there's nutrients in this. I didn't want something that was just like a blank slate. I didn't want just like another Splenda. So I was like, let's put some body to this. And again, thinking about what is the most pervasive commodity in our ecosystem. It's sugar. Sugar is like the most damaging thing that we use. It's in all of our food, it's in all of our condiments, it's in every pastry. So it's like, if I'm going to have an impact, where can I have the greatest impact? So I was like, well, let's look at making a recipe for a sweetener that actually doesn't behave at all like a sweetener. It actually behaves more like a nutritive, therapeutic agent. So I went to the kitchen and I just started blending up all these things. I've done my research. I know what all these various ingredients do. I utilize them in different forms and aspects with my own nutrition. So I started this recipe and I landed on a flavor and I gave it to my husband to try. And he flipped his lid. He was like, this is amazing. I was like, no, it's good. I said, but it can be better. And so I just kept on working on this recipe. And when I finally landed on what I have that's at market right now, I was mixing up like a test batch and it was a jar. It was like I think it was like an 8-ounce jar, maybe a 10-ounce jar. And I blended all these ingredients together in the ratio and I took a taste of it and I was like, okay, I think I have it. And I gave it to my husband. Again, he loved it because it was better than the last one. And what I found is throughout the day, I kept on going back to taste it again, again, again. And by the end of the night, when I went to bed, it was probably about midnight, I had eaten the entire jar. So I was like, okay, I've landed on something. I know this flavor is really good. I know what all these ingredients are doing. Every single ingredient that I put in there has a therapeutic, beneficial, clinically backed history to it. And I was like, I think we can actually create something that is an industry disrupting product with this. And so we're going after big sugar. I'm not only starting with the big sugar, I'm going after all the artificial sweeteners. I'm going after all of it. So that's been that's been like the way that came about.
So you've got the ingredients on your website. So if people are curious, they can go there and kind of
Yeah.
learn about what they are and what they do. But how, I guess, how did you come to? I don't want to ask the question with and lead you to the answer of, oh, well, trial and error, because obviously that was a big part of it. But how did
Yeah.
you settle on like these main, I guess, four ingredients as I'm
Oh
scrolling?
no. No, no,
Uh,
actually there are nine
oh
ingredients
wait,
actually in the product. Yeah.
learn more. Are the rest of them down here somewhere? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, actually, if you go to the product page, you'll actually see an image that has all of the individual ingredients sussed out, listed
Okay.
out, and what each one is actually doing health-wise for you.
Okay, if you want to go through that, that would be awesome. And before you do that though, the other thing that came to my mind was like, you have the patent for this already, so somebody can't just steal the formula.
Yeah, they're not going to get that. I mean, there is some really unique proprietary elements to this. But again, we list everything out. I'm not about hiding what we have here.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
we have is truly unique, but what we're doing and the ingredients providers that we have that we're working with, they have some really incredible tech behind them. I mean, they have organic extraction processes that make their ingredients 10 times more effective than anything
Hmm.
else on the market. I mean,
Can
we
you
have,
talk can you talk to the extraction stuff? Because I think people who kind of have been half paying attention, like the seed oil thing, they're like, well, isn't it the extraction for the oil that makes it bad for you, like sunflower seed oil or these other things? And so can you talk to that? Just give like I guess give the background of what's in it and then the extraction piece as well, just for those listening, like if they're curious and they want to try it, and you can give some extra context to what's on the website.
yeah, sure. So, of the nine ingredients that we have on there, so, if you've got that image pulled up there, we have organic blue agave inulin. So that is a prebiotic fiber. And again, that was selected because we wanted to focus in on the gut health aspect of it. So the combination of the organic blue agave inulin and also the organic yacon root extract, those prebiotic fibers are setting the stage so that your body is actually creating an environment that's conducive to feeding good microbes. So those prebiotics actually set the stage, they feed the microbes, they help to push down the negative microbes and actually help to enhance and support the good microbes. But it also helps your body to start making its own um, bacteria, its own healthy bacteria. And it's also going to help out with things like the liver and inflammation and short chain fatty acids. So there's a lot happening just with that alone. But then, if you guys have been following, I know a lot of people are hearing things about GLP-1s right now,
Yep.
and the damage that these drugs are doing is just amazing. But there are things in our environment that naturally create GLP-1. Okay, so we have organic allulose in our sweetener because organic allulose actually helps your body to create its own natural GLP-1. Your body is supposed to have this, but these drugs inject so much of it into your system and it never like it stays raised and elevated so high so long that that's where you start to get the damage. Where this, you get a rise in it and your body naturally brings it back down. You take in another hit, you get a natural rise, natural decline. So you're getting all those same benefits. You're helping to, lower uric acid. You're helping to break down um, visceral fat. You're helping with metabolism, but without the harm of the prescription drugs. Again, I like to avoid the prescriptions. I like to look to God's garden, not the chemistry
Yeah, yeah,
set.
yeah.
And then along with that, we also incorporated organic monk fruit because I want to balance out the sweetness. Because while allulose is amazing, if people take in too much allulose, some people become sensitive to it. So I wanted to keep that in mind. So again, it's a beautiful recipe, a perfectly balanced act where we have the benefits of the allulose. We don't get the negative connotations with the allulose when you take it in large quantities because we've balanced it out so well in the rest of the recipe. So, but both that and the um, monk fruit do not spike glucose or insulin. They actually help to, the allulose actually lowers post-meal glucose spikes. It's amazing what it does. So, I mean, I was definitely keeping in mind like our pre-diabetics, our diabetics, our cancer patients, population, people like that. I want to be very, very careful to not ever spike their sugar. But then we also have Bacillus coagulans in there. So Bacillus coagulans, that's really unique. It's a spore-based probiotic, and everybody's really hip on taking prebiotics and probiotics, but most of the stuff that's on the counter is not really all that good because they're very sensitive to temperature. So a spore-based probiotic doesn't require refrigeration, but it also doesn't break down from your stomach acid, and you can cook with it, and it's still going to be viable.
Hmm.
So yeah, we really want to target again the gut health aspect of it because really all issues really are stemming. There's a lot going on from the gut. Um, then we have organic thaumatin in here. Thaumatin is another sweetening agent, but it doesn't cause, again, any kind of issues with the oral cavity. So, you're not going to get cavities from this. It doesn't spike glucose or insulin, and it actually helps to blend flavors really well. You're going to start seeing more thaumatin popping up in different products because of what it does for flavors, but it's coming from an African fruit called the katempe fruit. And again, what we're working on doing is incorporating some other growers who, again, are more focused on preserving, protecting the land, protecting the native populations who live there with industry so that, we're looking at the sustainability of all of these things. And again, like I said, everything that we source is organic and third party tested for that. I've also incorporated vanilla extract. So natural vanilla extract, no weird, vanilla flavorings. You'll see no natural flavors listed on there because we're not masking or hiding anything. And natural flavors could mean a whole lot of different things. So you won't see natural flavors on our label. Um, Really unique is the fulvic mineral complex that we put in here. The fulvic minerals, um, this is there to help with mitochondrial health. It's also there for cellular hydration. I mean, most people don't realize that we have a lot of people who are walking around who are malnourished and also chronically dehydrated. So I wanted to make sure the nutrition aspect of it. So this is a full spectrum fulvic mineral. So you're getting all of your micro and macro minerals, but that fulvic mineral complex actually helps you to absorb protein and nutrients 30% greater. So everything that you're taking around it, you're going to be able to actually utilize all that nutrition that much stronger. And then we typically, when you would see a food product like this, you would normally have excipients, binders, fillers, flow agents, things of that nature. And again, you don't see any of that stuff on here. I've actually utilized organic bamboo extract as my flow agent. So that ingredient right there allows this to run through the machines without needing something like silicone dioxide or titanium dioxide, these typical chemical agents that you would have infused into a product like this to make it run through the machine. So again, my focus was organic plant extracts only. So again, with that being said, we don't have those chemical extractions or those chemical fillers or those byproducts in there. And that's why also too, when people utilize this product, a scoop is about the size of a quarter of a teaspoon. And that's going to give you the same sweetness as about 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of sugar because it's just super concentrated plant matter.
Mm. I want to touch on so all the things that you mentioned, people listening to that and then they go to the website and they're like, wow, this is more expensive than sugar. Well,
Yeah.
yes, obviously. But I think one of the other things that people who would like to take care of their health, who are maybe struggling economically, would say, well, it's so much more expensive to buy things that are organic or all natural or these other things. Do you have um thoughts on that, or like is there a strategy to help maybe bring the price down eventually with
Yeah,
these sorts of things? And not that you shouldn't be selling it where you are, but that people will look at that and be like, yeah, sounds great, but I don't want to spend that much money on a new sugar,
yeah,
regardless of it, because they'll try it once, they'll be like, I don't feel any better. And it's like, okay, well, that's not how that works, one.
yeah,
But two, then you would have a problem in terms of your market, like how many people would actually be willing to buy it for your own business. So
yeah. Yeah, so to touch on the economics of the product, I have to remind people that this is not a simple sugar replacement. Again, so for the people who are already steered more towards things like organic monk fruit. And when I say organic monk fruit, I mean truly organic monk fruit that's not blended with erythritol, xylitol, maltodextrin, dextrose, things of that nature, because you'll see those things on the shelf, okay? You'll see these name brands that have a monk fruit sweetener, but then you flip over the label and the first ingredient is erythritol. That's not monk fruit, okay? So what people need to understand is that food companies lie. Okay, they're like, here we have a natural sweetener for you, but the first ingredient or the first three ingredients are chemicals, and then you get to the plant extract. Well, if you want to, just a cheap sweetener, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that. But what I'm creating or what I have created here is something that is not just a sweetener. So most people, even those who are dealing with, tighter financial, ability, they normally have some other kind of supplements in their cabinets where they're buying things for their gut health. They're buying things for greater nutrition. They're dealing with things like inflammation. They're dealing with several other aspects of health, or they're addressing them with different things. So if you had an all-encompassing product that actually supported the most vital systems of your body for health, and you could eliminate half of the crappy supplements that are sitting in your supplement cabinet, I know just the prebiotic and the probiotic aspect of that. If you go ahead and you buy a commercial probiotic, you're paying probably between 30 and $50 for a quality one. If you're buying prebiotics, again, you get those little prebiotic capsules. Again, you're paying between 30 and $50 for that. And if you're getting really low grade quality ones, like found in your favorite, super center, blue labeled store, all that stuff is synthetic and artificial anyway. So the people who are actually trying to improve their health, they're normally taking extra steps and buying extra supplements or extra products to hit those markers, and everything's already in here for that. So, and then when you look at again the price point of if you were to buy an actual organic monk fruit or an organic stevia, you would be paying roughly around $20 for a bag of that monk fruit or stevia. But then you have a one trick pony that is just serving as your sweetener, where again, I'm trying to help people address issues of metabolism, blood glucose regulation, insulin regulation, detoxification, mitochondrial health. Like there is a whole host of things that we're addressing with this. So this isn't just a one-off sweetener. This is truly a revolutionary therapeutic product. It just happens to be deliciously sweet. So yeah, we've got to look at this a little bit different. Oh,
you're good.
okay, sorry, my screen just went out for me. But yeah, so when it comes to sweeteners, pure sweeteners like monk fruit and stevia, you're going to pay about $20 for a bag. So when you're confronted with something that's $32 for a bag, and most people are telling me they're using half a scoop, that means an eighth of a teaspoon, which means 300 servings if you're going at that rate. This is going to last you a long ways. And again, a few doses of this, and you've literally checked off all of your requirements for all of those other supplements that you would be taking.
You said 300 servings in one of these?
Yeah, so well, I have people that are using half a scoop. I have
Oh,
people that are
okay.
using a full scoop. So a full scoop is a quarter of a teaspoon, and that's going to give you 150 servings.
Okay. Well,
So
regardless, that's
yeah.
that's 5 months of for 30 bucks. It's really not um that expensive in the grand
Well,
scheme of things. But I still wanted to touch on it because I think the way that you described it is very important, which is like it's not just a sweetener. It's more meant to replace the probiotics and the other stuff that you've got in there, which you're already paying that much for anyways, generally speaking. Um
but now every time, but again, like, yeah, like that, every time you're taking a scoop of this, you're actually improving your health. You're
yeah.
not harming your health. And I think it's so easy for people to dismiss or discount just how damaging sugar is because it's something that's happening beneath the surface. It's below the surface. You don't see it immediately. Now, you see and you recognize it when you see somebody, a child, for instance, who's as big as a house. It's not we shouldn't see overweight children. There's no reason for it. But when you see a child and you can see, okay, this child is clearly dealing with some sugar issues, a weight issue, what's happening underneath the surface, that's devastating. I guarantee that child has non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Sugar has the same toxicity on your liver that alcohol does. So when you have children presenting with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, that should be a wake-up call to this nation where you say, we have to do something entirely different. So that's my stance on this. And my intention, yes, is to get the price point down more on this. But what people have to understand too is when you bring something to market, it is not easy. It is not cheap. It is not a cakewalk. So my husband and I have been bootstrapping this whole production ourselves. We have no external funding. We have nothing else. So every single dollar that we make, we roll right back into the company. And when you have something like this, where we have 9 individual ingredients, and when you're procuring raw ingredients that are tested and pure and organic, you're paying a premium for these, and but you will only get price breaks when you get to large volume. So as a start off, we're buying, you know, our minimum MOQ is 25 kilos of every single ingredient. And when some ingredients might have a price tag of $500 per kilo, and you have to buy a minimum of 25 of them, it's not like we're not running on um, these high,
Yeah.
conversions.
It gets expensive to
It's
make it.
very lean. So our intention is as we grow this more, and we are getting a lot of support and a lot of help around us, the larger the volume of raw ingredients are, and the larger scale my production runs go, the more those prices come down. That's why you always see this in the marketplace. A product comes fresh on the market, it's the most expensive, it's the highest it is. But as it continues to grow and permeate and penetrate into the marketplace, that price point always comes down. It's because their production has gotten so much greater. So my intention, I would love to get this into the, mid 20s,
Mm.
I mid low 20s. That would be beautiful. That's a beautiful scenario. And that's where I would like to get it so somebody who typically buys stevia or monk fruit, it's a no-brainer. They're like, it's the same price. I can get that and check off all those other boxes. So that's my intention for it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It makes total sense to me. You mentioned offline, you're getting some supports from some very, we'll say, influential areas.
Yeah.
If you want to touch on that, I'll leave the question there. But then the second part of the question is going to be, um, as you gain support from these sorts of organizations and individuals, are you concerned with the fight that you're going to have on your hands as you go to disrupt a very entrenched industry that's got its fingers in like
Everything.
everything?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what I can share right now is we are working with some amazing um, leaders in the health movement, leaders in the freedom movement. One of the people that I work very closely with is Dr. Judy Mikovits. Again, she has been out there for the past 40 years, excuse me, really helping to shine a light on the deception of, you know, these scientific um, groups, the Anthony Fauci's of the world, and these corrupt, groups and these institutes of health. And so Dr. Judy is very, very adamant that we have to fuel the pathways. If you ever listen to her content, she really dives into how different botanical extracts impact pathways. All of these pathways impact our health. So Dr. Judy is one of our biggest supporters and advocates. We're also working closely with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, and a little bit closer to the administration, we are working with one of President Trump's doctors, who is an international brain health expert, and he is actually helping us to produce some studies because we're looking to run some additional tests and studies on our finished product. And so we're going to be doing some really interesting pilot studies coming up here soon. So we have the ears of some people who are very closely tied to both President Trump and also Kennedy. And my push is to really get this in front of Kennedy because he's doing such a beautiful job of illustrating just how damaged our food system is, on top of all the other things that merit his attention, like the vaccines and the prescription drugs and all of these things, all these major issues. And I mean, he's up against the wall and he's got the swamp coming after him. So I understand, my sweetener, like this might not be the most pressing thing for him, but we do have some incredible champions who are spearheading that, who are very close to Kennedy. So I think that you're going to see something like this in front of Maha very soon.
Very nice. It could become more pressing as this could end up being a and a lot of food that this is why I mentioned at the beginning for those listening. This could very well impact like you guys on a day-to-day basis from the standpoint you go into a restaurant and now all of a sudden instead of Splenda or whatever you got Dulce sitting there. And
Yeah.
this is something that is not without the realm of possibility at all. Um and so the second part, are you
Hmm.
well, are you ready
I,
for it? Are you
yeah,
prepared?
so I will tell you, I do not operate with fear. I don't. I just, ever since I was a child, again, when I decided to step out in a different direction, like it was so clear to me, like in my mind's eye, I can look back and recognize different instances in my life where I decided to go the road less traveled, the one that was not going to be popular, the one that was not going to gain me any support. I've throughout my life, I've experienced how telling the truth, living by your convictions, um, trying to find better ways can alienate you or um, or just really change the dynamics of your life. And I'll say my life has been significantly impacted, as many people's has, from politics and things health related. So I mean, lifelong friendships I've lost because once upon a time, nobody cared or asked about politics, religion, beliefs, things of this nature. They just looked at your character and, the way you lived your life was what was most important to them. And when I came out loud and actually showed my support, and that again, I'm all about we the people. That's always been my path. It's just nobody was ever really asking that many questions of me. But when I made a firm declaration of it, immediately it was like the parting of the Red Sea. Like my family, my friends, everybody was gone. I have like a few surviving people left there. So I don't have fear of what could happen. Like if I know I'm doing the right thing and I'm operating with integrity, and I'm just putting the truth out there and I'm trying to be of service to other people, I don't care what comes from that. And one thing I want to make my husband very aware of was I've been in this health freedom space my entire life. I've been in this political freedom space my entire life. And I've seen what happens to people who are outspoken. I've seen what happens when people interrupt institutions that bring in a lot of money. I mean, a lot of amazing doctors have disappeared, died suddenly, had accidents. My friend, Dr. Judy, they've attacked her, relentlessly. Her husband was killed, her daughter-in-law. I mean, the the possibilities of the damage that they can do to you are endless. But again, truth always outshines the dark. So I'm going to keep on pressing forward. My intention is to disrupt an industry that is causing harm. My intention is to provide people solutions. And whatever comes from that is going to come from that. We're living in crazy times. There's no denying that. I'm still mourning over Charlie, everybody, who is of sound mind, regardless of political stance. I mean, here was a man who was just fighting for free debate and conversation. Like, we have opposing views, let's talk it out. So when you're now addressing industries that are, just so focused on the money, in the commodities, it's like, I know there's real danger there, but that's not going to stop me from doing what I feel like is the right thing. So no, I don't have fear for it, but security, yeah, there's security in place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have to. There's been, I mean, yeah, Charlie the last couple of days ago was, I think that one hit a lot of people, and then
Yeah,
obviously there's examples throughout history of people coming up with new innovations, and then
yeah,
all of a sudden they're branded as nutcases or whatever, and they fell off a building or what, like
yeah.
all
I
these
mean,
sorts of things that just exist, and like I don't know, the more information that comes out about, like the more access to information that the populace has, the more we
yeah,
find out, and it's interesting because like it doesn't stop people from
right.
believing that the truth will set them free. And like really the only way to go in my kind of estimation. This is one of the reasons why I do this, is like because I
Yeah,
say what I believe and I want to get people's stories out there, and there's no like if you're not doing that, if you're not putting truth into the world, then what are you doing really? There was somebody on the
yeah,
show um recently who also had this question for, although he's in a different industry. His name is Sam, and he's basically taking the chemical makeup of like a earthworm gut
hmm
because it's a decomposer, and he made
hmm
a large scale one and he's throwing plastic into it and it's turning into fertilizer. And of
yeah.
course, well, there's another industry that has been
Oh,
entrenched for
yes.
some time, and he said to me, I'm 99% sure it was him, but every time that you don't tell the truth, you incur a debt
Yeah,
against the truth. And I was like, there's some paraphrasing, but like this, the sentiment, I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one, and I'm going to use that often. Um, so yeah, of course, I have to ask these things just because like
yeah,
there's a genuine concern. It's like I want you to succeed, I want Sam to succeed, I want all these people to succeed. And with what happened a couple days ago, it's like
yeah,
it doesn't, it's like one moment and that's
yeah.
it.
Anything is possible. I mean, like, listen, I'm so aware, the character assassination, it's going to come. I mean, I've already seen like really crappy comments, that people throw out there. It's like, what you don't like. It's like, let's consider what it is that I'm proposing here. I'm trying to create a healthier alternative so that people don't have health fallouts, that so that children don't suffer, so that people don't become diabetic, so people don't have to have all these ill effects. And somebody would rather focus on, oh, I don't like the way she looks. I don't like her hair. I don't like her voice. I don't like this. I don't like that. It's like, okay, so the character assassination, the keyboard warriors and social media and online and stuff, it's like they're going to do what they're going to do. And then you have the big boys up there who you're messing with their money. Okay. And they don't take kindly to that. So, it's not going to be a smooth ride for me. Again, thank God I'm surrounded by amazing human beings. Like every day that I wake up, I meet somebody else who it's like God put in my path for a reason. They're coming together, they're helping lift each other up. So of all the noise, all the background, all the attacks, all the BS, like I don't care about that. And when the big boys take notice of who I am and what I'm doing, once I start knocking off some of those zeros off of their spreadsheets, then, we'll deal with that when it comes. But again, it's just I'm on my own path, I'm on my mission, and I'm here to do good for the world. And for anybody else who can't see that or has a problem with it, they can stick it. Really.
Yeah, the other thing as well with that is oftentimes people who make snap judgments of that don't understand how closely you've been touched by this industry al already. Like
Yeah.
you've laid out the story here, and I think it's like I don't know. I'm not to generalize, but I will slightly. It's like when you are touched by something like that, where there's a level of helplessness in terms of you're like looking into this like behemoth of an industry, and it affects somebody that you care about. There's there's a level of like fight or flight that ends up going. It's like either you shy away from it or you're like,
Yeah,
no, I'm gonna do whatever I can to
yeah,
fix this. And you see this, there's countless examples of this. I don't know. I I feel for you and what you've gone through, and I'm very happy that you've taken the steps that you have because I think we need it. I think I harp on this all the time with family and friends, like, oh, who cares if I eat this thing? It's like, well, one, even just selfishly, if you get old and then I have to spend a bunch of money to send you into a care home and then they don't even take care of you because you can't take care of
yeah,
yourself, or like, oh, I don't know, maybe you'd want to be healthy enough when you have kids that you can run around with them, or just like all of
yeah,
these things that are, um, it's consequences that are
yeah.
in the future that people it's tough to kind of see that in front of you unless you have a really long-term view of what's
View.
going on and you've got to say, okay, well, am I, like you said at the beginning, am I going to leave the world a better place than when I found it? And
Yeah.
that's and taking care of yourself is a great step to doing that. Like
Well,
you go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was trying to clear. I mean, taking care of yourself, it's an act of love,
Hmm.
because if you're not taking care of yourself, again, think about like you just touched on, all the people they're gonna feel that. It's not just you. It's not just, hey, it's kind of like that do what thou will kind of mentality, of like the dark. This, it's just like it's impregnated people's minds where it's like, I'm just living in the moment. I'm gonna enjoy this. Well, what about all of your loved ones? What about the downstream effects? Like you said, like when somebody you love has to go into a nursing care facility because they didn't take good care of themselves, you're going to feel that burden. You're going to be working for the rest of your life trying to find ways to support them. You're going to have that anguish of watching their health degrade. And that's something, we're all dealing with it in different forms and fashions. I'm dealing with it directly right now with my father-in-law who's got Alzheimer's. And, I look at what he's putting in his mouth, and it's sugar every single day. It's carbohydrates and sugar. And when I'm working with one of the leading brain specialists in the world, and he's like, well, if we can get your dad down here to my center, I'll take care of him, but we've got to clean up his diet. And I'm like, yeah, but it it's all the family members around him saying, oh, he's 80 years old. Just let him enjoy what he wants to eat and stuff. It's like, are you that short-sighted that the focus is let's let him enjoy that ice cream versus do you want him to remember your name tomorrow? It's like what's your motivation here? And if it's that immediate, right now moment, I think people really lose grasp of what's important. It's like I want him to be around longer so that his grandchildren can spend more time with him. I want to spend more time with my father-in-law. I love my father-in-law very much, and I'm doing everything in my power to try to help guide, but people are so convinced like, oh, it's just a cookie, it's just an ice cream, it's just bread, it's nothing. But they don't even realize that that one cookie shuts down your immune system. That one cookie is going to trigger insulin resistance that's going to actually make your brain need more glucose. So it's going to cause this rinse, recycle, repeat loop where he keeps on grabbing carbs and sugar. It's like it's not just anything. Poison is poison. I don't care what the dose is. Poison is poison.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to clarify the carb thing because if you have non-processed carbs, then that's different. Like I eat carbs as an athlete. I need it to fuel my body. Like it's the processed stuff
Well,
that you are
so
referring to.
and again, I'm not like anti-carbohydrate. Again, I'm a professional bodybuilder myself, but
I
it
know, but I just want to
yeah,
get the
yeah,
clarification out because it like people who aren't like in the weeds in that same way, like that
yeah.
clarification can be important.
Yeah, and I mean, people again get very emotional about these topics and stuff, but it's like I'm friends with bodybuilders who live full on carnivore, like every single day of their lives. They're not taking in additional carbohydrates. Their bodies are producing what they need glucose wise, and you will produce and get that glucose from eating your protein too. So it's like, there are a million different ways to get there, but when we can recognize that an overabundance of carbohydrates, you know, which break down into sugar are
Yes.
causing harm. So again, there's a balancing act. Like with
Yep.
anything, you don't have to be full-blown carnivore to have optimal health. You don't have to be, full-blown vegan vegetarian, which I think is that's another subject matter, and
We don't have to
I'll
go
just
on that.
toss that one right over there. But I love my my beef. I will say that. But there are a lot of different ways to get there. But again, it's the that overabundance and also too the heavily processed foods, these things that are, again, they're just sugars. I mean, these packaged foods, literally, there are so many different names for sugar on your package, and you don't even recognize it. So all those carbohydrates are going to turn to sugar. All those, mystery ingredients that are actually cloaked names for sugar. Again, if you could shop the perimeter of the store, you'd be doing yourself a much greater service. And again, even there, you're still going to have crap, but
Hmm.
if you could at least shop the perimeter of the store, you're going to eliminate a lot of problems. But boy, if you can get to, just straight meat, veggies, a little bit of dairy, you'd be doing much better.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good rule of thumb. I tell people outside of the grocery store, the stuff that's refrigerated. Um,
Better from the farmer's market, but if you can get it from the
yes, yes,
local,
yes,
from the
yes, yes.
grocery, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Um, to be honest, this is one of the first times where I'm kind of at a loss of where else to go. I think we did cover, to be honest, most of it. Do you have any kind of last thoughts before our last like closing kind of things that you want to touch on?
Yeah, so I really want people to understand, like, I am not anti good food. Like I'm here because I want people to see that you can still have your sweets and enjoy them. And I want family gatherings to be a little bit more enjoyable but less damaging to health. And I think that we all have a responsibility to ourselves, to our loved ones, to our community to first and foremost, turn the focus on to taking care of ourselves. Because if you want the world to be a better place, first and foremost, you have to love on yourself, take really good care of yourself, pay attention to what you're taking in, not just what you're consuming, to feed your body, but what you're consuming for your mind, what your spirit, is consuming. Um, and just don't forget like some of the more simple things that you can do to really focus on your health. Again, whether somebody buys my sweetener or not is irrelevant. I'm here to provide an option for people. But I would much prefer see people get up first thing in the morning, don't touch the electronics, go outside, get some sunlight. That right there is going to trigger so many important health responses for you. I would much rather somebody get up, start their day outside, get some sunlight, take your glasses off, don't put your contacts in, get the sun exposure, spend some quality time with people that you love. Enrich your mind with quality content. Be careful of the things that you take in because negativity has an energy to it and it permeates. And so the less negativity you take in, the better off you're going to be. And just, remind somebody that's important to you that you love them and that they're important. And if you see somebody who's struggling, do the noble thing, step up to the plate, help somebody out, open a door, pick somebody up, do something. Be a good person because that's the only way we're going to truly be able to resolve all of our issues, all of our differences, and understand that your body is a temple and you should nourish it and look
Mm,
after it like it is the most important thing, that your most important possession. Take care of your temple.
yep. Amen to that. Like Jordan Peterson always said, take care of yourself as if you were somebody that you cared for.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Tell the people where to go find Dulsa and information if they want to buy it, or all the socials and all that stuff.
Yeah, so our website is dulsalife.com, DULSALIFE.com. On social, you'll find us on X, Facebook, Instagram at Dulsa Life altogether. And you'll see me out and about. I'm on various podcasts. Like I said, I'm working on getting in front of Trump and Kennedy, and I think Kennedy is going to be the first one, but my good doctor friend says that he's going to do a personal introduction for Trump. So keep an eye out. Hopefully, I'll have Trump holding a bag of Dulsa and chuck in the Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be nice. He's definitely he's a Coca-Cola McDonald's guy, that's for sure.
Yeah. I
Um,
pray for him.
did you want to tell the people about the code World XP or yeah, so
Yeah.
so Natalie's been so kind to basically listeners from the show. If they use code World XP, they can get a discount on Dulsa. We've yet to kind of work out the final details, but definitely go there and use that code, and there'll be some kind of discount there waiting for you. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, but we're available. You can just reach out to us online anytime you need something. If you have questions about the product, if you want a little bit more information about it, happy to share with you. And yeah, it's like definitely come try it out. I'll throw a coupon up there today, so that'll be available for whenever this does go out there. But just type in World XP. We'll put it all together as one word. And yeah, try out the Dulsa. And if you love it, let us know. If you don't love it, let us know. Again, we're here for, it might be the best thing you've ever had. It might not tickle your fancy. I don't know, but I hope that it serves you well. And I hope that it can and be a part of your staple for health.
Very nice. For those listening, thank you for listening. Check the links out in in the description. Go try out Dulsa. Let her know what you think, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the World XP podcast. If you want to watch another episode like this one, click there. If you want to subscribe, click there.